Most common country of birth for residents of a foreign origin, excluding Mexico. Craziest thing to me is Ethiopia and South Dakota. Is there something I'm missing here? I'm just gonna assume there's just not a whole lot of people in general moving to South Dakota. 225 refugees from Ethiopia have resettled in Sioux Falls since 2002. Alrighty then. We also have Somalia in Minnesota. I can actually find a lot more information about this. There are 43,000 people born in Somalia living in Minnesota, and approximately 94,000 Minnesotans speak Somali or related language at home. The most common country coming from this map seems to be India. They dominate in Texas, Colorado, Kansas, Missouri, all throughout the Midwest, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, even as far south as Georgia down here. Now, Canadians being the most common resident born outside of the US doesn't seem like a shocking thing in the northern states. Like, I can see how this could be a thing, like Canada's literally right there. But it is a bit more surprising that they get as far south as Arizona. That's not too hot for them. Arizona is literally on fire all the time. I feel like the Canadians would melt down there. We also have 3 states with Vietnamese: Oregon, Oklahoma, as well as Mississippi. Say I'm a little surprised about this too. The Deep South in general, though, is a little shocking. I mean, they've just got places that I wouldn't expect. A lot of nations from Central America here. Cuba and Florida, there's that. Massachusetts' top country is China. And there's apparently a whole lot of Germans in New Mexico. Wait, I think I've seen this episode in Breaking Bad. Then the Philippines dominates the West Coast in Alaska, Hawaii, California, Nevada, even Wyoming. Filipinos believe in the totally not made up and completely real state of Wyoming. Love that Indians appreciate our state of Indiana. Just forgot to mention that. Again, keep in mind this is excluding Mexico, because this map gets a whole lot less interesting when you do include Mexico. Mexico dominates like 32 states otherwise. Although it is pretty crazy to see Michigan with Iraq. There might be a couple outliers around here that are giving us different results. Map of the Schengen area as of January 2023. This is how big this zone might get at some point in the near future. As I've covered many times in the past, this area includes 27 European countries where you do not have to show your passport to enter. Makes it really nice to travel. Obviously, the city-states are de facto practicing members. So Morocco, Vatican City, and San Marino, although there are some missing ones, like what about Liechtenstein? Also, I guess Andorra is not included. Oh, I guess Liechtenstein is actually part of it. I feel like I'm more shocked that Switzerland didn't remain neutral though. But Croatia is the latest member to be accepted, while Romania and Bulgaria are still trying to join. I also didn't realize that Cyprus is possibly on the list as well. Ireland and Iceland might also be included one day too. Wait, actually Iceland is already there. This is actually showing us which countries are in the Schengen area and which countries are or aren't in the European Union. So the Schengen actually has Iceland, Norway, and Switzerland like we said, but they're not in the EU. Meanwhile, Ireland, Romania, Bulgaria, Croatia, I mean, this is a little out of date. They're in the EU, but not in the Schengen. Again, Croatia doesn't count anymore. Seems like something that'd be kind of interchangeable, but I guess it isn't. Croatia literally joined at the start of the new year. Last time another country joined was Liechtenstein in 2011. It's been more than 10 years. What year is it right now, according to all the countries? Because surprisingly, we aren't actually in a unanimous decision. So for most of the world, we all are in agreement that it is 2023. But there are some outliers, like in the Arab world, they believe it is 1444. This stems from the Islamic calendar. They do things a little bit differently though. In Iran and Afghanistan, it's 1401. Ethiopia is still living 7 years in the past. They think it's 2015. What if the Mayans and their whole 2012 prediction that the world was going to end was supposed to be for one of the other countries? Like maybe it is going to end, but like our 2023 calendar is actually wrong. India can't decide on exactly which one. According to the Hebrew calendar in Israel, it's the year 5783. When you think about it like that, we're all out here living in the year 5000, yet every time I go to McDonald's, their ice cream machine still broke. One of those eternal things. The youngest calendar on this list is Japan though. I thought for a second Japan thought we were like only 5 years old. They just do things very differently around here. I did actually remember something about North Korea, only thinking they were like 112 years old. I guess it's something they have in common with Taiwan. Important to remember the Gregorian calendar, or the year 2023, is used alongside a lot of these other places. Pretty much all of these places except for Afghanistan, Iran, Ethiopia, and Nepal. There's also even more calendars that aren't included on this map. Imagine seeing a playlist best Thai songs from the 2000s and it's actually just some medieval music. There's actually been some pretty fire medieval hits dropped on YouTube as of like 2021. Your distance to the nearest Bass Pro Shop in every US state. Remember that officially there are 7 wonders of the world, but this is an unrecognized 8th, literally one of our greatest achievements in history. Oh, do keep in mind that not all Bass Pro Shops are massive pyramids like that. They should still be considered holy places though. So some places are obviously a lot closer to this store, which specializes in hunting, fishing, outdoors, camping. Pretty much this chain completely dominates all of the Deep South, obviously unsurprisingly there, but also goes pretty far up into the Northeast as well. We do have a couple here in the West Coast, like I'm probably like 50 miles to the nearest Bass Pro Shop. Hold on, I need to find this information out right now. Oh good, I'm only an hour drive away. I was gonna say I need to move immediately. Unfortunately, this part of the country is severely neglected. I don't even know why these people choose to live here. What's the point if you can't go to Bass Pro Shop? Actually, now that I think about it, that's probably the #1 reason why no one decides to live here in the first place. There's actually 177 locations all around the world. sold, which is far too little. We need to triple that by the end of the year. I guess this retail company is basically the same exact thing. They just have a massive pyramid with their name on it. So they just seem significantly less cool, but it's the same. Pretty sure there's certain people that make a pilgrimage to this pyramid at least one point in every year. The most popular video game console in each US state. Now, I have no possible idea how they would gather this data, but let's see anyways. In California and Nevada, it's the Nintendo Switch. Also in Colorado, Nebraska, and North Dakota. There seems to be a nice PS5 faction in the Northeast with New York, Massachusetts, Maryland, New Jersey. They also have some PS5 allies in Florida, Alabama, and Arkansas. Now, I would assume the PS5 states would ally to the PS4 states, Oklahoma, Louisiana. Some, I guess, are chilling behind South Carolina. They don't want to make the upgrade just yet. Illinois even. I mean, I guess some of this data can be figured out through like the sales numbers, but I don't know. Also, Alaska and Hawaii still rocking with that PS4. But a large portion of the US has their own little Shojin area, but their passport is actually just replaced with an Xbox One. Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Wyoming, it's all connected. I mean, I guess if you count like Michigan, you can jump from this peninsula to this peninsula. And then from there, you can make it all the way down to the deep south in Georgia or Mississippi, whichever one you prefer, the Gulf of Mexico or the Atlantic. The Xbox One Alliance reaches from coast to coast. I guess Iowa is also part of this alliance. They just have an Xbox Series X. Why is it Iowa? I have to admit, this has to be a little bit accurate, at least for me. I mean, I only have a Switch. That's the only console I own right now. Well, there's actually a couple others with the Xbox Series X. We have Vermont, and Connecticut. Yeah, but hold on. Which state has the most Sega Dreamcasts? I've made a chronological video game timeline in which you can experience the evolution of humans and society. So you can start things off all the way in the year 10 million BCE, Ancestors, the Humankind Odyssey. I have literally never heard of this game. When did this come out? It actually sounds pretty cool. I want to be a monkey. We then got to make a pretty big jump ahead. Just fast forward a couple like million years. Far Cry Primal, 10,000 BCE. Then there's Assassin's Creed Odyssey at 431 BCE. Assassin's Creed Origin in ancient Egypt, 50 BCE. There's actually a lot of games to choose from with Rome. This is an interesting choice. Valhalla in the Viking Age. We made it to the Crusades in Assassin's Creed, the year like the 12th century. Ghost of Tsushima, or basically the first Mongol invasion. I actually had no idea this game took place in the Mongol invasion. If they marketed it like that, I'd be so much more down to play. I just don't pay attention, I guess. Plague Tale Innocent. This took place in the 100 Years' War. Kingdom Come Deliverance in the 15th century. Assassin's Creed 2 was, of course, in the Renaissance. A lot of this is Assassin's Creed because, yeah, they were doing all the history stuff. The American Revolution in 1775. The French Revolution. Oh, Assassin's Creed. Okay, this is just Assassin's Creed games. There we go. Mafia 1, 1930s. Got about Red Dead Redemption 2 in the Wild West. Mafia 2 in the 60s. There's so many different World War II games we could have chose from. This took place in the 80s? I didn't pay attention to that. GTA 5 is in the modern day. We could have done like San Andreas though for the 1990s. The original San Andreas game. Then we're going into the future here. Detroit Become Human is the first like near future example, video game example at least. Cyberpunk 2077. Didn't know Outer Worlds took place in the year 2355. And then Horizon Zero Dawn is in the year 3000. This surprisingly does make me more interested to play some of these games. I think the timeline could also have been like fit with even more stuff. How cool would that be? Like a timeline of like 250 different games from different parts of history and in the near future. Yeah, World War I is definitely lacking. We need that. A chart showing world population distribution as of 2023. I've been seeing this everywhere and I'm shocked at how close India is at passing China up. I know it's only a matter of time. I think it's going to be somewhat soon though in terms of more Indians than Chinese. Oh yeah, it's supposed to be this year. India's supposed to become the most populated country on earth. I wanted to say it was going to be this year, but I wasn't sure exactly. They've been averaging an increase of 1.2% since 2011. Meanwhile, our population growth is 0.1. Dang, it's tanked. So the USA sits at the bottom of this list with 333 million people, but I always remember that the European Union technically has a lot more, and this is just the European Union. Of course, that is just a union that doesn't include like individual countries. When you include everyone, which also includes Russia, the most populated in the continent, they're getting very close to 1 billion. I'm not exactly sure if that is including Turkey or not. They're at 85 million. Germany is the biggest in the European Union though at 83 million. Surrounding the EU part of the chart, we have members that are not in that: Ukraine, UK, Russia. Also 2 very big countries right next to India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. Indonesia, which is predicted to pass up the USA pretty soon as well in terms of population. I mean, clearly, if we're only growing by 0.1%. But according to current trends, Indonesia will not pass the USA up until 2045. That'd be a lot sooner than that. Nigeria is the most populated country in Africa, and Brazil is the most populated country in South America. I actually had no idea there was so much Vietnamese. They beat out both the Koreas combined. Where in the US do people have the most second homes? Number 1 place on this list is actually between Wisconsin and Michigan up here near the Upper Peninsula. 16,000 or 26% of the people there or the homes there. Percentage of residents that are second homes. That's over a quarter. Second place is like Maryland and Delaware area. Less percentage, but it's 69,000 homes. This part of Colorado also has a lot. And then Myrtle Beach between South Carolina and North Carolina. This starts to make me feel bad. I don't even have one. I think that's the idea here. Like, a lot of people don't even have one. I find the location of a lot of these second homes, though, pretty fascinating. Like, look at this area in Arkansas. There's probably several reasons for this. I'm wondering if, like, sometimes it's, like, cheaper to buy. I mean, I am noticing one theme. Like, it doesn't seem like... It's not like they're in Manhattan, New York. It'd be pretty hard to have a second home in Manhattan. That's typically where you buy, I guess, a second home. Usually someplace for, I don't know, skiing or camping trips. Surprised to see Alaska not on here. Or maybe that's not that surprising. I don't know. Maybe people don't want to go to Alaska. Again, understandable that Hawaii doesn't have a whole lot of second homes. Places with like expensive real estate markets, they're not going to be best for second homes. I guess this part of California is popular because of Lake Tahoe. See, that makes a lot of sense. We got to see this map compared to like lakes and other natural geography near it. Does that even make sense? All the languages spoken by major leaders in North America and Europe. So as you can see here, Joe Biden only speaks British. I'm actually really surprised this person went with the Union Jack for English. That's pretty controversial nowadays. Justin Trudeau in Canada speaks English and French. I actually didn't know he spoke French, but I guess that's for Quebec. Erdogan in Turkey speaks only Turkish. Understandable. Putin actually speaks Russian, English, and German. I feel like I have seen him speak English a few times. Never German, though. But I don't speak German, so maybe that's why. Leader of Poland speaks Polish and English. The man in charge in the United Kingdom speaks English, Punjabi, and Hindi. Emmanuel Macron speaks French and English, which is actually a little surprising to me because, like, the French really love their language. You would think he would intentionally not speak English ever, and he would claim that he can't even do it. Like, I'm convinced one of the best boxers in the world, Canelo, who's from Mexico, speaks or could speak really good English, but just chooses not to. Like, most of his interviews, he only does in Spanish just to make things really clear, and I really think he does it on purpose. This dude in Germany can speak German and English. Pedro Sanchez of Spain speaks Spanish, English, and French. I'm a little surprised by the French. Sometimes learning a language is a political move, and then sometimes I think they just happen to know it. Pope Francis can speak 8 languages? How did he find the time for this? Spanish, Italian. Wait, he speaks Popish? I'm just kidding. Okay, speaks Latin. I'm guessing that's what that means. French, Portuguese, English, Ukrainian, German. Dude in Hungary can speak Hungarian and English. Zelensky of Ukraine can speak Ukrainian, Russian, and English. And finally, the new lady in Italy can speak Italian, English, French, and Spanish. Interesting that a lot of these leaders from the Latin world can speak more than 2 languages except for Macron. So maybe there is a little bit of that. Like, he'll learn English, but he's not going to learn Spanish or Italian. No, that's too much. The guy in the Netherlands, of course, can speak Dutch, English, French, and German. I'm trying to think of a country that has a lot of official languages. I mean, India pops to mind. Also Switzerland, but they don't have like a major leader. I would assume that if you have a lot of languages in your country, you kind of have to learn them all, or like the major ones at least. Technically, it's Bolivia with the most official languages. Their constitution recognizes 37. I guess there's a major difference between official languages and then languages spoken by the vast majority of your population. Now, technically, in the US, we don't have an official language, but it's, I mean, there's a de facto in there. This article shows the Prime Minister of India has greeted the nation in 18 languages on Independence Day. He's probably not fluent in all 18, but man, he knows a lot. And big thank you to my patrons. Drew's Goth Girlfriend, Triv44, aka Drew Come to Krakow, Polandnextvacation, Twickenhamster, Drew's Argentinian Grandpa, $20 is a lot, Drew. Base Selene, B Wildfang, Bryton Is, Carmel Saida, DJ, McSkillet, Ortin, Patrick, Allison, Robert E, RyeThePie, the Polish Lithuanian, the Mexican 760, Veiotic, and ZaneyBoi.